Hi, I'm Rob from HopZine.com. Thanks for joining me for another video beer review. This time we're looking at something very exciting. It's a bottle of Arctic Panzer Wolf from Floyds Brewing in Munster, Indiana. It is a 9.5% 100 IBU double IPA. Big thanks to Lee, an old friend of mine who lives about an hour and a half from the brewery. How lucky can you get? He brought this back directly from the brewery. It's probably about 5-6 weeks old. It's one of those beers I've always wanted to try and never thought I would. So big thanks, Lee, for supplying this. I've heard all sorts of things about this beer. Am I up to the challenge? I've even got my favourite glass. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. All American hops. I think it's a really simple malt bill, a blend of American and Canadian malts. I don't know what hops are in it, but I'm sure we'll get a good indication in a second. So the beer in the glass, slight kind of chill haze. This has been in the fridge. You got to fridge those hops, as Mark Starr always said. So there is a bit of chill haze, I'd say, in there, but pretty much pale orange, kind of burnt yellow kind of colour. The head frothy, soapy, white, pretty much white. I'd say slightly off white. So let's check out the aroma. Can't wait. Oh, wow, that smells incredible. It's quite restrained in a lot of ways. Straight off, I get a kind of slight sweaty, kind of musty, kind of resin note. And then it drops out to become more evergreen pine. Definitely kind of slightly bitter orange note in there. Slight coppery note. But then juicy orange, mango, loads of grapefruit, big fleshy grapefruit. Towards the end it becomes a bit softer, a bit more malty, a real kind of like simple softness of sugary malt. And maybe a hint of a kind of lemon sorbet, that kind of thing. But initially very resinous. Can't wait to dive in. Thanks, Lee. Cheers. Wow. It's really, really, really good. I've just watched Chris Stelz from Big Geek Nation reviewing this beer, and he said it was one of the most bitter IPAs he's ever had. I think the bitterness is really nicely done. It is a very bitter beer, but nothing compared with something like just a real. I had a pale ale from Summer Wine, which is a relatively local brewery to me. I know James and Andy. I've known them for quite a while now, but they make bitter beers, and this is not on that level. I mean, that's insane. This is really well judged, and I guess you can kind of like it's like mineral note just then as well, but it is really balanced. Initial flavours, resinous, very resinous pine, big resinous punchy pine, puckering grapefruit bitterness. There's a marmalade, that kind of like burnt quality you'll get in marmalade, slight kind of toasted rye. Grapefruit, big time grapefruit, pithy orange, slight muted bitter lemon, prickly hops as well at the back end. It's quite spicy. It's got that kind of like slight resinous, musty, kind of bready rye, kind of spicy note in there as well. Maybe a hint of kind of like nutmeg or something. But that initial crescendo of bitterness and resin is lovely. And then it becomes more burnt, mildly astringent, drops off, dry, slightly kind of like it's kind of like a slightly boozy note with a bit the kind of the inside of a lemon peel, and that lingers, becomes slightly floral, but lingering grapefruit, lemony bitterness. Lovely. I thought it was going to be this big kind of like crushing monster of a beer, but it's not. Well, it kind of looks like it's going to be, innit, doesn't it? From the label. Arr. But it's not. It's really well balanced. I'm really happy to have had this kind of like second visit with beers from Floyds. Once upon a time I got some via Brewdog bars, had them in. They were really disappointing because they were old. I've had Zombie Dust now, which was fresh from the brewery, same time as this. I've got this and I've got Alpha Klaus, which I'm really looking forward to as well. And it's made such a difference, is getting these beers fresh. I watch kind of people like Daniel and Ryan talking about how these beers has to be drunk fresh, and one thing what's really growing in the UK is the quality of the hoppy beers, and we're getting that experience now from breweries like Brody's and Summer Wine, and from Magic Rock and Brewdog and Thornbridge. You're getting those, and Colonel, obviously they're the kings of it really. Colonel and Magic Rock. I mean, if you want hoppy beer in the UK, get it fresh, get it from those two breweries. But it just proves that's how these kind of beers need to be drunk, because that's some seriously good stuff. Anyway, 9.5% ABV from Floyds in Munster, Indiana. Arctic Panzer Wolf, 100 IBUs. You never know it. I've had a lot more bitter beers, but that's beautifully done. An absolute treat to drink. Huge thanks, Lee. I really appreciate it, mate. Glad I got the opportunity to drink this epic beer. It's an absolute winner. Anyway, I'm Rob from HopZine.com. See you next time. Cheers.